Hey everybody, welcome to another 30 Days of Galactics. This is an earlier drawing I did when I was first starting spirit art, kind of in the moment doing drawings of beings while they were coming to me. This is a Eurodinian. That's what they call themselves anyway, a Eurodinian. Now, they were not somebody I talked to a lot. It was very brief, a few minutes at most. But they're important because it kind of explains how many beings are out there. Where I was sitting in the backyard of my parents' property, they have about 6 acres. There's the house in the very front, and then it goes back, and they have a wood line all around. Kind of a thinner piece of property. The 6 acres are more like a rectangle, a thin rectangle. Goes all the way back to a pond. Everything's secluded. I was sitting back there, I was drawing fairies, I had met with a deer god and doing different beings, talking to the land, and I had seen a bunch of birds move through, and the birds, I like looked at them and went, that wasn't just birds flying. Like, you can feel when birds are just flying or when something else is sending them, type of thing. And then I felt the disc. There was a ship up there moving around, zooming around, and it had kind of like stopped and pulled back and waited. I couldn't see it. It was out of phase, out of vibration, somewhere else. But it stopped and waited, and I started talking to this being right here who said they had sent the birds as confirmation because I had been thinking hello to clouds. One of the techniques I teach people is that if you look up at the sky and you just say hello to clouds, or hello, is somebody up there, or hello, some sort of greeting, some sort of telepathic energetic intention of asking, is somebody there? When you do that, it opens up communication for those who are around and telepathically willing to communicate, to talk to you. A lot of these beings, they're on ships, of course, and for Galactics anyway. I mean, you can have dragons up there and other things too, but for Galactics, most of them are on ships. And so when they're on the ships, they have a couple of different things, and it's not limited to this, but this is just some of the things I've experienced. You have the beings on the ships are all, a lot of times all of them are conscious, so they're listening and hearing and feeling telepathic pings, and will go, oh, somebody's pinging us, what's going on? There's a human down there trying to talk. Sometimes it's the ship is just they're conscious ships, meaning they can communicate, they have souls, they have energy to them that can feel that stuff too. And then sometimes you just have a greeter, a watcher, a monitor type of being who is sitting there in meditation, trying to wait and reach out and find, like, oh, while everybody's on a ship doing their work, they're kind of the ones that pick up the signals and go, oh, okay, there's a human down there, we need to stop the ship, type of thing. I've had a couple experiences of all of those. And then I was thinking there was one more. They're just saying technology. Sometimes technology can pick up telepathic pings. The idea is that they're flying over, they stop, they come back, they say hello. I see them. This being it kind of looks like this, bigger head. I remember them. If I remember right, they were short. They're very short. But bigger head. They had a suit on, like a space suity thing, and they had some sort of backpack with something in it. And I don't think they ever told me. It was a very, very short conversation. But they did say that they had sent the birds because I had asked about if somebody was up there. And the birds were their confirmation of, they telepathically pinged a group of birds to go and fly across. As I'm doing that, there's a lizard running across the space here. So they were talking about that, like how they sent the birds. So that's something to be aware of, is when you do those exercises of hello the clouds, you'll find those exercises in my Unleash the Spirit course. They might be somewhere else on my YouTube, I'm not quite positive, but they'll send you signs telepathically of what is actually happening. And then when you communicate with them. A lot of times they're not there to communicate. They have a job. They're doing certain things, so they take off and they go do their thing, and they'll be like, hey, we might be back later. This one was an explorer energy. They were exploring in a ship. They were flying by, had just kind of picked up my signal and came back and started talking to me and said that's all they were doing. That's what they do. They just come in, they explore, they go around, they look for stuff. Now I've had other beings who come and go, hey, we're on a mission. Like literally those are the words they use. We're on a mission. They're like, we noted you're here. We'll be back later, probably. And then they take off. This one said they'd be back, but then I told them, I was like, well, I don't live here, because I was at my parents' house. Now my parents' house is a mile away from the apartment I was living in. It's like, I don't live here. And then I heard and felt him kind of go off to the side and talk to his crewmates. And I told them where I lived, and they were kind of like, well, yeah, we will, what did they say? Said they might come back. And then I said, I don't necessarily live here. I live somewhere else. They asked where I lived. And then he was like, well, maybe we'll join you one day. And for now they had work to do, and it was a pleasure to meet me. But it was an explorer energy, and that's why I bring them up, because a lot of these beings, a lot of people think like they're here for a reason. They're here to help us. They're here to heal us. They're here to, gather resources or do different things. A lot of the beings are just here to explore, to do what they like to do. For example, for me, I'm a wandering energy, an explorer myself. I don't really go to a place with a reason. I just go because I'm like, I want to go check that out, type of thing. And that's the same thing. My guides are being like, somebody's saying, remember to tell them we are not tourists. There's a difference between a tourist and an explorer and a wanderer. Tourists are bound to the commercialization and to the human three-dimensional aspects of life. So tourism ends up being actually a thing that is not aligned and creates a lot of problems, which I'll probably talk about more in other videos. But they are not tourists. They don't want to be tourists. There are beings I've met who we would call them tourists, because they want to come and visit and explore, but it's not the energy of tourism as an industry, they're saying. Hopefully you heard that. There's a plane going overhead right now. So again, that's not tourism as an energy. The energy of tourism is commercialism, is low vibrational, is the same, homogeneous is a word they're giving me, and like monoculture, like the same thing. It's true. If you go, so I'm in Florida right now. I can go to Maine. I've been in Maine before. I've been all up and down the East Coast. I can come to Florida. I've been to the West Coast. I've been to LA, Phoenix, all those places. It's literally the same across the board, unless you go into like the small towns. The only time you really get something different is when you go into the country areas and you actually explore and that sort of thing. So this being is kind of the energy I'm getting as I'm talking, is just an awareness for people to start exploring, start wandering, appreciating the localities, they're saying, the localities of different areas, and not the homogeneous monocultures that we've created, and get outside, go do stuff. That's the big message of these explorers, is just go wander. And wasp, I don't remember if I did a video on wasp yet, and if I didn't, I will. But wasp is a mantid, and that's what he does. He just explores. That's his purpose. He explores and observes and does his thing. That's it. And that's what some beings are meant to do. So thank you everybody for watching. If you're enjoying these videos, you can support me at awakenwithwillow.com with spirit art readings, donations, adopt a spirit program, and more. Thank you. Love you all.